Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, August 7th. As we always do, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up, we have a public hearing, vote and transfer of a wine and malt license.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Evening, everyone.
Just please introduce yourself for
Absolutely.
the Fast TV audience.
Right. Chris Coleman on behalf of the applicant. It's Soho Restaurant, Inc.
Great.
Location is the old, currently Asian Deli at 691 Main Street in the 1A Marketplace. Not a lot of change going on. There is location's going to be pretty much staying the same. 2,000 square feet there, 48 seats is what they have now. That's their occupancy. It's going to remain that. Proposed hours on the license unchanged. Still Monday through Saturday, 11 to 1, and Sunday, 12 noon to 1. Actually, they close a little earlier than that, but that's what's on the license, I believe. I have with me tonight Kui Yang is going to be the proposed manager. John Lin is a 50% owner. They're mother and son, and they're being joined by their cousin, basically, to operate the restaurant. She has excellent restaurant experience from 2008 to 2015. She was a chef at Mootown in Andover. From 2015 to 2017, she was a waitress at Sichuan Restaurant in Arlington. And currently she's a waitress at Sichuan Gourmet in Framingham. She has had her tips training. She is a U.S. citizen. She'll be there 40 hours plus, I'm sure. I think for the other two, they'll be bringing in any server is going to have some alcohol training, probably on site. And she has had her certificate. They're going to change the sushi bar is going to be upgraded a little bit, and they are going to alter the location of the cashier station. It's going to move it just a little bit closer to the door. But other than that, no changes. That's it.
Anybody have any questions? Cindy, you satisfied with all the paperwork and everything?
Yes, everything's in order.
Great. David, any questions?
No.
Just have one general question.
Sure, go right ahead.
Is it just changing of ownership, but the chef will stay the same? Will it be similar food? Will things be about the same, or?
Actually, you're looking at the head chef right there. And yes, that will change. He's going to be mostly at the sushi station, but also in the kitchen. There'll be one other cook brought on as well.
Well, we are looking forward to it, for sure.
I do take out from Asian Deli, so I'm very familiar with the restaurant. So I look forward to see you when you open up. So, Nancy,
I'm all set.
want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of the common victual wine and malt license from Asian Deli to Soho Restaurant, Inc., and to approve Queen Yang as the manager of record.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Welcome.
Yep.
Good
All set.
luck.
Thank you. Good luck. John, we have you scheduled for 7:15, so
Should we wait a couple more?
why don't we wait till 7:15?
Whatever you up to you guys.
Okay. Is everybody here?
No.
Why don't we wait? If the
Yeah.
Okay.
third candidate comes, just let us know.
I'll make a motion to sign the September 4th, 2018 primary election warrant.
I'll second that. For discussion, any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 I will make a motion to approve the request to hold the annual Boyden Fun Run, October 13th, 2018, 5K and 1 mile.
I'll second that for discussion. Any discussion? Anybody gonna run? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. In our imagination.
Yes. I'll make a motion to approve the request for an A-frame on the common for the Walpole Cultural Council from 9/1 to 9/15/18.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to promote Justin Karen from associate to regular member of the Historical Commission.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to award bid contract number 2019-01 water treatment chemicals to the various low bids for the unit prices bid.
I'll second that for discussion. Jim, any other comments on?
No, this is an annual bid that the water department sends out. I note that various vendors are getting the various bid items A through H, just because different suppliers, they bid on each item separately.
Yep.
As listed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to award bid contract number 2018-14, construction of water mains at various locations in town to P.J. Hayes in the sum of $1,202,533.40.
I'll second that for discussion. Jim, you have any?
Sure. I'm pleased that the local vendor here is able to get this bid. They were the lowest and most responsive bidder. Well under the appropriation of $1,825,000, so I believe Rick is going to award it to P.J. Hayes. I know we have some police details in there and equipment in there, and if we can stretch it and roll it over to the next year with leftover funds, they will, for their continued water main replacement program.
Great. Which is needed, as we know today, with a water main break on
Yes.
Washington Street.
15 minutes, they just told me, Nance.
Okay.
It'll be fixed.
My teenage boys are really smelling it.
For those of you in TV, there's a water main break today on Washington Street, and it's being worked on as we speak. So, any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to award RFP 2019-06 for housing production plan to PGC Associates LLC for $9,850.
Oh.
I'll second that for discussion.
Sure.
Jim?
You may recall that funds were appropriated back at this past town meeting. I believe it included $25,000 for the housing production plan and to do a feasibility, to do a study for the old town hall. This comes in well under that, and there are some remaining funds from prior fiscal years. We've worked with Gino and PGC Associates before in the past. They did the last update, and I'm looking forward to working with them again. I know the housing production, Affordable Housing Committee has already asked for this, asked for a copy of it, and I've asked them to wait until the board formally awards it, but they're looking forward to getting going on this.
Great. Any discussion?
Quick,
Yeah.
I have a question. Will PGC Associates, will they be working only with the Affordable Housing Committee, or will they be working closely with you as well in terms of sort of a mission statement and objective? Or
For
is that-
now, they're working with myself and Patrick.
Mhm.
They haven't had any contact with the Affordable Housing Committee. Before Tim left, they were working with him, the community planning director. It's my goal to have them working closely with the three of us in the
Okay.
committee, and eventually, before the plan's finalized, come in and present it to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so you and Patrick will be working closely with
Oh, yeah.
them as our
Yeah.
representative?
Yep.
Yeah, the current plan expires in December of this year, so we have some time.
But I would like you to work very closely with them. as
I
our
also know that
voice.
Affordable Housing Committee, or Andrew and several of the members presented to the permanent building. So, sorry, Planning Board.
Okay.
I misspoke there, Planning Board.
I know what you meant.
To let them know what's gonna happen and ask them to provide input and get involved to the extent they'd like to.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
any other comments or questions?
No.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to sign the annual animal control warrant for John Spillane.
I'll second that for discussion. Any discussion? John, do you have any comments? Guess not.
We didn't hear you.
Sorry, John. We're about to vote and sign the animal control warrant for this year. Do you have any comments that you want to add? You don't need to, so, okay. Ian?
Can we ask John to stay for the town administrator's update with the dog on
Sure.
East Street?
Yeah.
Did you hear that, John?
Hear that, John?
Can you stick around after, can you stick around for a while? So that when Jim gets to his update, we can talk about that problem dog? Thank you.
Thanks.
So we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of Adams Farm for a fundraiser by Mainly Rat Rescue for
Wow.
October 6, 2018.
I'll second that for discussion. Any comments?
Cindy?
They save rats and guinea pigs and mice.
Domesticated, is that the,
They domesticate them, yeah.
the domesticated animals?
This is a
Not-
fundraiser, there's not gonna be any animals
There'll
there.
be no rats on site.
Same question.
Right, I'm,
So did
as
I.
opposed to
I had
rats
to
on the
look it
street,
up.
I gotcha. It's a very noble cause.
So we have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to renew junk license for West Side Stamp and Coin.
I'll second that for discussion. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to grant a one-day all alcohol beverages for Knights of Columbus for August 11th.
I'll second that for discussion. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to grant a one-day wine and malt at Bird Park on August 10th and 11th, subject to the condition that 2 detail officers will be required each day, starting 1 hour before August 10th and 1 hour before on August 11th for the Notch Brewing pop-up beer garden.
I'll second that for discussion and just say that I've heard from several people who live near Bird Park. They're very excited about this, so hopefully it'll go very well. Any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Matt Zucker from the Zoning Board of Appeals and also offer a lot of thanks for his time served.
I agree with that. I'll second that for discussion. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to promote John Lee from associate member to regular member of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll second that for discussion. Any comments or questions? Ann?
How long is John here today? Tonight? Do we know? He's gone. How long has he been an associate member?
About a year, but he was on the board previously and then moved to Sharon and then has moved back to town.
Right, he's back.
Yeah.
And served on their planning board and zoning board.
Yeah,
Good for him. Great, thank you.
he is.
So I'll just say we appreciate John serving as a, associate member and now being willing to step up as a regular member. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation from Robert Moody from the Council on Aging and thank him for his time.
I'll second that for discussion and just say a big thank you to Robert Moody. He's done a great job on the Council on Aging over the years, and we appreciate everything that he's done.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I gotta be quicker.
I'll make a motion to sign the MassDOT state aid reimbursement for complete streets.
I'll second that for discussion. Jim, do you have any,
Yeah, I just want to say Maggie's been doing some fine work upstairs, pursuing all options as far as getting us a full amount of Chapter 90. This Complete Streets program, this is just really the beginning here. She's just looking for $8,700 to be reimbursed so far for a total of $36,000 for the grant. It's a small compared to all the work they're doing, but they've just been doing a great job this summer.
great. Any other questions or comments for Jim? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass on that one for now.
And so the last one will hold.
Yeah, why don't we stop here? Chief, you want to come up and do the introductories? Welcome.
Thank you for having us tonight, and for giving us the opportunity to come before the board. And we have 3 police officer candidates that we have before you today, and we'd like to recommend them for the position of police officer. As you know, we got out of civil service a few years back, and we held a entry-level police exam back in October. We had about 200 people take the exam, and this will be our first hire off of that list. We went all the way down to 40 people on the list, from the top score down to 40. And basically what you have before you today is the best of the best out of that list. We went through resume evaluations, very stringent background investigations, multiple interviews with command staff, and ultimately, and pretty much came to a consensus on who we wanted to bring before you tonight. I want to thank Detective Sergeant Kelleher, Detective Toland, and Detective Banner for the great job that they did on the background investigations, as well as the command staff who did a good job with the interview process. But before you tonight, we have some very desirable candidates. By all accounts, everybody that we spoke to highly recommended these guys to be police officers. Certainly they understand the philosophy of community policing, which is one of the things that we're always looking for. And we think that we've developed some very good, viable candidates for you tonight.
Great.
And however you guys want to proceed.
I'll just make an opening comment. I know that they've probably already seen the new police station. Did you by chance give them a tour of the old police station, just so they know where you're all coming from? No? Okay, good. That's probably a good thing.
Start them fresh.
How about Scott Kelly? You want to come up? Come on up to the microphone. Why don't you just say a couple words? I mean, we've all gotten your packet of information and resume, so is there anything you'd like us to know about you that's kind of not already covered?
No, I'm just eager to join and to become a part of this community, and I'm looking forward to it. And so far, everything I've experienced here has been outstanding, and I really look forward to it.
Great.
I don't know if there's anything in particular you'd like to know about me, but
I'll see if anybody has any questions. I mean, anybody have any questions? I mean,
No, I think Chief Carmichael explained, I mean, I'm very happy with the community policing philosophy. I think we all are, so that's all been covered. Thank you.
yep.
Thank you.
And I would just say, as a board and speaking for myself as well, we have a lot of faith in the chief and the deputy and how things are going over at the police department. And we stand behind you all collectively all the time. You know, you'll have a chance to work out of the new station, which is nice. It took, I don't know how many years to get that, 40 years, 30 years, something. So it's nice that we finally have a nice station house where things can be done the right way, and you know, interview rooms and all those kind of things. So we're glad that that's in place, and that you'll have the advantage of being able to start out with that. So, all right. Well, thank you.
forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. We vote them individually, or how do you want to do it? Sure.
I'll make a motion to appoint Scott Kelly as a police officer conditional upon successful completion of 1 year of employment probation.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. How about George Bird? Welcome. Same thing, just say a few words.
Okay, thank you for having me here today. I used to live in this town for about 5 years, and I got to know a couple people around here, got accustomed to things that are done. And with my background in corrections, I think that it'd be better and more productive for me to be a good member of this police department. And I would like to help the community any way I can.
Great, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nope, great.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'll make a motion to appoint George Bird as a Walpole police officer conditioned upon successful completion of pre-employment physical, including drug screening, psychological exam, passing physical abilities test, complete recruitment academy, and completion of 1 year of employment of probation.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
How about Nicholas? I'm sorry, Nicholas, I can't really do anything with your name, so what's your? Polisopoulos? Okay, all right. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. Nick Polisopoulos, 30 years of age. Have prior experience in law enforcement, and everyone I could speak to in the field had nothing but great things to say about this town and the police department. I'm just very excited to get started. My wife's 9 months pregnant. Hopefully nothing happens tonight, but we're looking forward to buying a house in Walpole and becoming members of this community. So thank you for that opportunity.
Great, welcome.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Nope. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll make a motion to appoint Nicholas Petolopoulos as a Walpole police officer conditional upon successful completion of pre-employment physical, including drug screening, psychological exam, past physical abilities test, complete recruitment academy, and completion of 1 year of employment probation.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I would ask all of you to come up and shake hands. I'd
Yeah.
really like to shake all your hands, so come right on up. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations and good luck in your first year.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Good luck with all the process.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
They still have a lot of steps to take, though.
Oh, yeah.
Very nerve-wracking for them.
Yep. Just me, or?
I think it's just you.
Yeah.
Mhm. I know. I've been through it myself for my gym. It's great. You're always walking a tightrope of worry.
No problem. Can't take a shower if you wanted to, so, you know. Go to the gym.
The new station.
There you go.
Are they continuing?
Thank you.
Hi, guys. For what?
It's too early.
Oh, it's too early.
Oh, so we anticlimax for them.
Go to John.
It's not like graduating from the academy.
Yeah.
And actually, did you want John to stay?
For which one?
Oh,
John and John?
For what?
For the dog?
I was gonna ask John, are you guys
Can
gonna
we
jump to
talk-
consent
who's-
agenda, and can I grab John?
yeah, yeah, that's great.
Because people who are on those calls might even be here.
Yeah, and I'm even thinking maybe have him hang out for the warrant thing too, because you guys gotta, the dog put on there too. So.
Okay. Want to do the consent agenda? Sure. Agenda? I'll do it.
Alrighty.
A lot of gifts.
The following items will be voted as one item. Motions to accept gifts under the following, from the following. Marquis Building, Biseglia, Community Policing and Marketing Program, $300. Kerry Serrato and Sarah Shame, Community Policing, $725. Various library gifts, $200. Michael and Nancy Manning, Council on Aging. Gary and Jean Downs, Council on Aging. Brian and Karen Bell, Council on Aging. Mary Hickey, Council on Aging. Gary and Anna Curtin, Council on Aging. Patricia Starr, Council on Aging. George and Flippa Sabatini, Council on Aging. Pamela Delaney, Council on Aging. Maria Linden and John Linden, Council on Aging. Francis Ellen McDavitt, COA. Karen Russo, COA. Ingrid Meyer, COA. Catherine and Philip Hines, COA.
I'll second that. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You're scheduled for 7:45. Because it's a public hearing, we can't start earlier, so that's, otherwise we would have jumped right to you, so just want you to know. Jim?
Would you like me to
Sure.
go through just what we have for warrant articles
Sure, that'd be
now?
great. Yep.
Okay, so I just wanted to take this opportunity. The board closes the warrant at your next meeting on August 21st. Right now, we have just about 20 articles. The first major article right now is relating to in-year budget adjustments, which is for this current fiscal year. You may recall during the town administrator's update back in February, I did mention the budgets will need to be adjusted for the new buildings because we didn't factor in the utility costs. I'm still working with Compass and the department heads to figure out how much that's going to be. So I anticipate something under there. The school has asked me about Chapter 70. Where do we stand with that? I think I sent the board a note. When all the state aid kind of worked itself out, it was a net gain of $33,000 to the town. They were under the impression that Chapter 70 was going to come in a lot higher, which it did, but our offsets also came in higher, which is the charter school charges, the MBTA charges, just as a whole list of charges that offset local aid there. So they may be asking for what that is, I don't know, and Link's, I think, on vacation this week. We also may need to make some type of an adjustment with the DPW director. I have to work with personnel to figure out what his final outcome is and when the new person's on board. The resumes for that position closed yesterday, and we'll see what we get out of that. I know we have some in-house, very qualified candidates for that position. The next item relates to the architect, design, construction, and equipping the playing fields at just along Route 1A. That's on there. I anticipate a request for a portion of the funds from free cash possibly, or another source. It's currently in its planning and design stage with Weston and Sampson. The contract's been awarded, and starting to get some numbers back from them. Next item relates to the funds for the schools. I received a request from Chairman Buckley they anticipate that they're going to be asking for some type of money for a feasibility study for the MSBA program. I've heard in the $1.5 million range or so. They'll have to come in and present that to not only your board, finance committee, but also town meeting eventually to explain that. Next two items are kind of standard for the last few years: stabilization and OPEB, and all of this really depends on where our free cash certification comes out. Ann and I briefly talked about this when I walked in earlier tonight. I don't anticipate our free cash to be certified for the next few weeks, maybe as close as 1, but as far out as possibly 3. The DOR agent was in Walpole yesterday. I'm happy to say and happy to report that Jody and Maryland, he has 51 towns, and Walpole was the first town that got our certification in. They've been doing a great job staying on top of that. So he's new to Walpole. We've never had him, so it might take a little while, but we're on the right track to definitely get it before September 1st. So that's where those two articles, and depending on where our free cash for OPEB and stabilization comes in, I will be making a recommendation to put some money aside for that. The next few articles relate to Medicaid, McKinney-Vento, and the parking fees that the school collects. These 3 items each year, you may recall, are certified as part of our free cash. The Medicaid reimbursements, I know, is about in the $500,000 range. McKinney-Vento is usually in the high teens, low 20s, and the parking is just around $35,000 to $40,000 a year. So this is more of a, they collect it in, and the town pays it back out to them. And the vote to transfer funds, sorry, I still don't have them numbered yet, so I'm still getting used to it. The next few items relate to capital improvement programs. The first 2 relate to street and sidewalk Chapter 90 and road borrowing there. It's a program we've had for about 7 years now. Just continuous improvements throughout town on the streets, the parking lots that we're responsible, and some of the sidewalks that we oversee. The next 2 relate to capital improvement infrastructure and equipment. And again, right before the meeting started, Ann had asked me, I anticipate the Capital Budget Committee will likely start meeting towards the end of this month. Chairman Forsberg was in just today to talk about scheduling and everything, and I think he's working on getting that finalized. I'm guessing August 21st, August 28th, somewhere in there.
Can I ask you a quick question on a similar note? When is FinCom going to start meeting? Do we know?
The chairman and the clerk and I, and we've been kicking around some ideas of like August 20th, I think, is the first meeting. They do have to reorg, because the chairman, obviously, Paul's not on there anymore. Mark's the vice chair, so I've been going through him. So.
Okay, great.
Next few items. Next item relates to the old town hall. Now, a couple people have come around asking, well, would it be possible to rent that? Just from prior experiences, we need an authorization from town meeting to authorize the Board of Selectmen to rent that. This article hasn't been vetted by town council, but I just started to put it together based on some old articles. So that's going to be a placeholder reserved for that, just to get your board the authorization. At this time, I don't anticipate any funding request as part of that, just simply because the state has already identified $75,000 coming to the town. I don't know, I think that's mostly for exploratory, figuring out what's in the building, what contaminants we may have to deal with, and then as part of the bond bill, for the economic bond bill, they appropriated $1 million. If we ever get that money, it's great, but I don't anticipate it coming anytime soon, so I'm not putting any funding as part of that request at this time. Next 2 relate, come from Rick Mattson. Sewer and Water Commissioners have not voted on these 2 yet. One is to continue the pipe improvement program, the water pipe improvement program that we started 3 or 4 years ago. That's for the area along Baker Street, onto Common, just generally that part of town. The commissioners have to figure out, Rick thinks it's about $2 to $2.4 million to do that, and we have to sit down with them to figure out what the capacity is. And the other one is for the MWRA for the sewer, nothing related to water, what we talked about this past spring. And that is something, again, that the commissioners have to iron out whether or not they want to move forward with that. Next item came from the police chief. He came up with this idea of charging basically for all these various vendors here, pawn dealers, ice cream vendors, owner of public convenience, secondhand articles, alcoholic beverage license, to really just run it through our system, make sure they have no criminal issues in the background, and I think they'll take in $25. It's not a huge moneymaker, it's just to ensure that we have the right people coming into town looking for these licenses. I like the idea, and I know he does too. Next article relates to the animal control officer, which we talked about over the last year or so with the various issues we've had with some dog owners. Basically, what I'm suggesting here is that we bring it under the police department and have that position report directly to the chief of police. There's a vacant office over there right now that we had built for Roger Turner. Roger's still in the old town hall as the emergency management director. John's on board with it. John Splain and John Carmichael, they both thought it was a good idea. And just food for thought. Again, this has to be vetted by town council, but since it's a town bylaw, I want to make sure we cover all our bases on that one. And last 2 items are citizens petition. One is to take the fiscal year tax rate, certified free cash, and offset the fiscal year tax rate increases. And the other one is submitted what was that, Thursday, I think? By a resident to allow swimming at Jarvis Pond for the public on Saturdays, Sundays, and summer holidays. So that's it, just an overview to the board, and I'm sure there may be some other citizens petitions. You'll note that there's no zoning articles in here right now. The planning board's at this time not pursuing anything. So.
Okay. And we'll vote to close on the next meeting, the 21st. Okay. Great. Jim, you want to do
Sure.
anything else on your list?
I'll skip over the dog issue to the end until the chief comes back in.
We're waiting for the chief to come back in, John.
I briefly mentioned the Jason's path, Washington Street. We had a big leak out there. It was something with the air pressure in there, and it just exploded right in front of right in front of Jason's path where you go up to the South Walpole. Rick Mattson, as of 5 minutes ago, was still out there. They were trying to close everything up before they go home tonight. The water will be back on in that area. Roadway improvements. Stone Street was paved this week. The Pan Mass Challenge.
Jim, hold on 1 second.
Where was that road, Washington Street, on when was it paved?
I was thinking the same thing when I was out there. It's totally ripped up. I'll have to check with Maggie and Chris to see how long ago that was.
I believe
I think it's within the 5 years.
it's within 5 years, yeah.
So, roadway improvements, speaking of that, Stone Street was just recently paved, which looks great. It's nice to see a nice fresh road in front of the fire station. PMS Challenge route, which included 109, North Street, Fisher Street area, and a bunch of other streets in town, was completed before the challenge, which I think not only engineering and DPW, but our contractor, Sunshine Paving, we had never worked with them before. They've really been on the ball with us, giving us some fair prices, and I'm happy to be working with them.
And I appreciate everybody doing that because, we had hundreds and hundreds, maybe 1,000 riders come through on Sunday with the PMC, and that was greatly appreciated. Because I remember years back when Plimpton Street, timing was off and they had just ground it up, and, there were
Pop tires and
people falling off bikes and blowing out tires, so that's great that could all get done.
Sidewalk on Coney Street, which is an older capital item, which is the grate that passes over Trap Hole Brook, is finally getting done also within the next month. Maggie's been racking her brain to stay within, it was only like $40,000 appropriated for that, she was concerned we'd have to replace the whole bridge. It's only really the sidewalk that's in need of repair. So she's come up with Chris and her work together to come up with a solution to stay within the amount appropriated. Industrial Road, that RFP is finalized and now available for interested parties on pickup for this week. We have reached out to the abutting landowner and let him know that it's going to be available. The appraisal for that one came in at only about $76,000, and I'm more than happy to share it with all you. I wanted to make sure we were getting the good market value, but not really any of that land is billable, and I'd like to get some of it back, all of it back on the tax rolls at least. The Finance Committee, I talked a little bit about that. They have to reorg. I'll let the board know when they officially pick a start date. And since the chief and the animal control officer is here, I wanted to let you know we continue to have dog problems with the owner on East Street. That dog has been cited again since our last meeting. John is in the process. I know he was down at Rentham District Court today getting a nuisance dog hearing confirmed, I believe. And if you
Please
want
come
to
on
let
up.
John chime in a little bit on this.
Sure.
I spent quite a bit of time up there today at Rentham Court, and the clerk went through all my stuff. She said one of the 2 police reports should have been given to the prosecutor up there. It was a threat, I guess the kid threatened the neighbor up there or something.
Yeah.
So Billy
John, I
Madden-
can't hear you.
I'm
So
sorry.
just pull the microphone up.
Or push
Yeah.
it up. Thanks.
While I was in the clerk's office, Billy Madden came in, the prosecutor, and Billy took that. He's going to go into that. The other stuff, I wrote 4 separate fines over the past few months. They have to wait 21 days before we can go after it on that. So as soon as that time expires, we'll proceed with a magistrate's hearing. She probably won't show, but, you know.
Ian?
So John, are these, the cites or citations, are they the result of the dog escaping the property?
Some of them, but the dog's not even licensed, and I don't think he's vaccinated either. Those are the biggies.
How many times has the dog, how many times has the dog escaped the property, and how many times have citations been issued for?
Like 4 times in the last, 2 or 3 months.
For going off the property?
Right. She
And-
can't control him. He gets out.
And, okay. So let's say we go through our process and we're able to, the town seizes the dog? Is that the process? What's the process?
No. I'm hoping they could do something in the courts. They can get it declared a nuisance dog. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come back to you folks for another hearing to declare it a nuisance. We can't declare it a dangerous dog because it hasn't bitten. But you could declare it a nuisance dog and require it to be really contained, fenced-in area or something like that.
So as soon as we can go through that legal process of getting it
is going
declared a
through now.
nuisance process.
About the
we'll be able
7th of
to-
September, I'll be back up to court.
And who do we require, the property owner or the dog owner to contain the animal?
The dog owner. But it's a rental property, so I don't know how that's going to work either.
I wonder if that's something that can be discussed at the courts to see who has the legal obligation to contain the dog, if not both.
What
It might be
happened there
joint
is,
liability.
what's happened there is the first dog was the bad one. That was the alpha male. Now this is the second one. Well, now the alpha male is gone. Now this dog has moved up. He's taken his place. He hasn't bitten. And when I had my last run-ins with him, he was a nice little dog, but he's going after one of the neighbors left and right.
Yeah, it's not a good situation that he's
No,
running
it's
into
not.
a neighbor's yard and, acting in a threatening manner, so. Even though he hasn't bitten, we understand he
Right.
hasn't bitten, but still, that's
The neighbors are
disconcerting to
terrified.
people, yeah.
People are
Have a dog run
terrified.
at
So
you.
September
walk by
7th, I'll
there.
be back up there at the court, and we'll take it from there. But don't expect a lot out of it. I don't expect them to even show. But then she'll get issued a warrant, so.
So it would be great if you could give us an update once that has
Right.
happened, and then
Okay.
we can decide if there's another step that
Right.
we can or should take.
Town council's been in the loop throughout this, even with these two recent citations. I can tell you, I have talked to the dog owner. I've told her the board would like to speak to you. She's refused to come in. She said that she's looking for a new property outside of town. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have spoken to the property owner. He's aware of the situation. One of the people that have filed the complaints is a tenant at his other property back there. So he's aware of the situation, but he's in a tough spot also because a lot of the the law more or less sides with the current tenants, and he explained to me that it's a challenge to evict her with this type of situation. The rent's paid on time. He knows what his liability is, though, the situation here.
It's remarkable to me that something as simple as a fence would solve this problem. And I'm not sure why the property owner or the tenant is reluctant, would rather jeopardize the community and jeopardize the dog, actually, to potentially be euthanized, and we'd be in the same situation that we were in 8 months ago of having to.
The property owner is lucky he hasn't been sued by one of these people that's been bit. You know, sue his insurance company or something.
Thank you.
That happens all the time.
Any other comments or questions? Thanks, John, we appreciate it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Chief, do you have any other words of wisdom on this dog matter?
No, like I said, like John said, we'll, working with Prosecutor Madden, we'll keep in touch with him and how this plays out in the court as far as the citations that were issued. They do have the 21 days process in order to go through that, and then we can report back then, and in the meantime, keep an eye on it. But
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Just a few more items. Union Street, I know that the chief, the chief met with some of the residents down there along with some of the department heads. Chief's currently reviewing all of the legal speed limits throughout town. He's going to request that the legal speed limit signage be updated to come into compliance with the law. The problem with that is in some of the areas, it's below the legal speed limit that's posted. So it may be a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and it's actually a 35-mile-an-hour zone. So I know he was working on having his Luke Pylon, another officer, work on that with him. So that may be coming up. I've agreed to update some of the signs, the worn-out ones that are on the Union and Pleasant Street area. The police department are also going to conduct their own in-house traffic study to see if there's some other mitigation that we could do down in that area. Our hands are really tied. We can't really divert traffic into Norwood or send it around to other streets in Walpole as far as truck traffic, because there's businesses located right on Union Street there. So more to come on this, but I think the residents were at least happy that we were working on it, and their request was not ignored. DPW Director O'Brien, his last official day is August 16th, next week. This is the last meeting before his last day on the job, so just want to thank Bob for his years of service here. They are having a retirement party for him next Thursday at Conrad's at the nighttime. Burns Ave, I met with the site developer Lou Petrozzi last week, along with the Chief Bailey, and a lot of the DPW people. He's moving forward with his 36-unit comprehensive permit application, also known as 40B. We have a hard copy in our office. Also going to send it out to the various department heads for their comment. Mass Housing has given us, they're pretty flexible on this one, that he can't file until February. So they've said, could you just give us some comments within 30 or 40 days? They've also asked to send it out to the neighbors who, I know Miss Barrows is one of those neighbors, and some of the other interested parties, the Campbells. So I'll be sending that out to them too for comments and feedback. So if your board would like to provide any too, more than welcome on that one.
And that book's in the office right now, right?
Yes, right in the main desk there. Summer Street Crossing, the MBTA will be shutting down Summer Street this Friday, and expect to have it open by Tuesday night. We've sent out notices on social media, the town website. I know the construction crew has also sent out notices, I think in the Hometown Weekly, and there's some signage up there, so we're trying to get the word out. We've also let some of the neighbors know who are kind of on my email circle that work is happening down there as far as the MBTA. They are improving the crossing down there. They've done a lot of everything that the engineering police departments asked for. They haven't said no yet, so that's at least a step in the right direction. And
could I just
Sure,
interject
please.
on that?
Yep.
So the MBT, so I know we've made many requests of them in terms of mitigation for sound and property owners, any deterioration to their property as a result of the construction, to which they've been non-responsive. They've actually said no. So
the only thing they've tentatively agreed to is fencing along Oak Street, Spring, now Schufelt, and now just this Summer Street crossing.
fencing, like chain link fencing, or changing like sound doing us, right? Except for obviously a barrier but for children not to go on the tracks. But in terms, where are we in our safety study? Because I know we had approved the, several months ago, we
Actually,
approved this study.
Council's still working with someone on that one, and we may be best served if we ask council to come into the 21st, discuss it in executive session, just so we don't tip our hand at all. Is that
Okay.
okay?
And,
That would be good, yeah.
and as far as the MBTA is concerned, you're saying they are somewhat agreeable to working with us on at least some of the safety issues to date
At Summer Street.
at Summer Street? Okay.
Everything we've asked for through the police, through engineering, they're doing. down
Okay.
there.
Well, other than sinking the crossing below grade, so not everything.
Yeah, but as far as pedestrian crossings and everything, yeah.
So if we,
Situate got it.
but would you anticipate we'll have that executive session?
Yeah, I'll
Soon.
reach out to council and
Okay.
ask him if we could do it on the 21st.
Let's do it on the 21st if we can, yeah.
And so there's no concerts this weekend, right?
No, just a Revs game.
Just a Revs game. So the one weekend that we're not gonna have a concert of 3 weekends in a row, instead we still get South Walpole cut in half.
Literally cut in half.
Yeah.
Go there. Yeah. You have to go
It's-
around.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay,
That's it.
let's go to public hearing. Nancy?
Minutes first.
Oh, sure, we can do the minutes real fast.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 15th.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for June 4th.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for June 5th.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for June 17th.
July
I
17th.
mean, July 17th.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstention? Abstain? You weren't here that day, right?
I wasn't there, but we can still make the motion.
Okay.
Can we go back into new business after we're done with the public hearing?
Sure,
That's where I just
absolutely,
wanted to
absolutely.
mention.
Nancy, public hearing?
I will make a motion to open the continued public hearing for Goodwill Enterprise, Inc., located at 623 Providence Highway, to increase the number of cars they can sell from 60 to 100.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Come on up. So for people on TV, we're continuing a hearing that happened couple weeks ago. We continued it to today.
You have it on your file that one of them was a fire safety, which we hired 2 companies. They update our fire extinguisher, and also another company came and update all of fire detectors, and also they put a safety box for the fire department in case they want to get into the building. So I'll
Great.
give you a couple
Sure.
letters from them.
Yep.
The first one is
Thank you.
for the fire extinguisher,
Thank you.
and the second one is for the
Yes, sir.
we have tried to make the building as safe as possible. Despite that, we know that we are going to tear this building down in the near future. On the 3rd page is a letter from our engineering company that they are going to submit the plan for the new building and expanding the number of cars from 100 to more, because we do have a space available at the site.
Okay. I'll open it up to questions. Nancy?
So at a site visit, you had 120 on site.
It is not any longer. As we are here, it was 95 cars count.
95 cars?
Yes.
But your current is for 60, right?
And it was approved by planning ZBA last time, and this board allowed me to carry 100 until today.
And, but at no time have you been allowed to be up on the grass?
Right, we don't have on the grass.
that are within 50 feet of the front line?
Yes. All of our grass is, there's no car on the grass, and there's plenty of space out from R to Route 1.
I can say that I drive by there daily, and there's a lot of cars that are right up to the road. I did not go by there today, but historically, there are definitely cars that are encroaching in the area that they shouldn't have been.
Can I ask you when the last time you drove by and see? Because since the last meeting, we have kept the cars away from the grass. There's nothing on the grass, and they are all on the lot. And the number of cars are under 100 cars.
So at what point, though, in the past, did you start thinking that it was okay, though, to be up there?
On there, I
To be
didn't.
that close?
I never thought that it should be that close, but no, we personally monitor it daily, make sure that they are parked correctly.
Okay.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Ian?
No, because at our last meeting, we had everything but the fire safety issue was
Yes.
addressed, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So it doesn't seem to be addressed accordingly? based
Yes,
on what we see
especially
here
since you're moving ahead with filing
the-
for new
the new
construction.
building. Thank you.
Yeah, and there was a letter from Deputy Fire Chief Paul Barry that I'm sure everybody got or had a chance to take a
I'm sorry, I
look
didn't
at.
see that, that's why I
Yeah,
asked the
here.
question. I'm sorry.
We'll give you a minute
I don't
to
think I would have
take a
asked
look at
that
that.
question. That's it, you answered the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other comments, or we'll close the public hearing and then vote, so. Let me ask, is there anybody here who would like to speak, since it is a public hearing? We don't have a big crowd here tonight, so I assume no, but just wanted to check. All right, Nancy?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the increase of vehicles for sale and storage from 60 to 100, subject to them ensuring the access lanes are kept clear, no parking within 50 feet of the front lot line, all conditions set forth in the ZBA case 1283-718, and site approval case 1414 are adhered to.
I'll second that. For any final discussion, any other comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Oh, no. Yep, 3-1. Okay, you're all set. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Ian? New business or old business, or?
New business. Since old business has already been adjudicated. I know that we have completed the selection and hiring process for the HR benefits coordinator. And I just want to say I am disappointed that I thought this would have been a really good opportunity for us as a town and as a board to have explored outsourcing that newly created position. Because I had reached out to just one vendor, but there were several others that could have provided information. And I gave Jim the information from this one particular vendor, who shall be unnamed. And I think it would have definitely been a cost savings to the town. Maybe not in the first year, but certainly in every subsequent year. And I think I would like, before we create new positions, not police positions or fire positions, but any town administrative positions, I think it would be I think as a board, it would be nice to explore outsource as an option and look at the cost benefit for something like that, because these vendors, in particular for this type of HR function, are ideally suited for that type of work. So that's all I want to say. I think we missed an opportunity here, and I wish we had explored it further. Thank you.
Okay.
And I actually would, on a similar note, I'm disappointed about this as well, and the fact that I feel like that the process was, I accepted the statements of the town administrator and the director of personnel that this was definitely a needed position, and feel like I've been part of a conspiracy that I didn't intend to be part of, in that a relative of the personnel director was the ultimate hire. And I didn't like it, and I still don't like it. Not anything against the candidate, but the process doesn't seem right. I feel like I often do in this town, that despite being on this board, things get done and processes go forward, and I'm the last to know. And then some of them don't look like they're all on the up and up. So I'm very disappointed by this.
Yeah, I would just say that I did keep an eye on the whole process, and I thought it was fair and above board and impartial, and it was a public posting and the whole bit. So I understand your displeasure, but I think it was done correctly. So
Just a couple of
Sure.
things I know it wasn't on the agenda, but I do, since it was brought up. I did reach out to the company. The company, it's public information, it's ADP. Ann and I had a conversation back, I think it was May or June, about this. She forwarded me the name of consultant Devon Ramalho. She works with the town of Pembroke, Concord, city of Peabody, Plainville. So I said, let's explore a little bit. So just to kind of just cover myself on this one, I said, what type of work do you do for these towns? What specifically do you do? Here's the job description. And she specifically said, we handle their payroll processes, tax filings, and wage garnishments. That's it. Not really a human resource function. We do sub out a lot of that information for Munis. We have one particular person, she's in the tax collector's office, Joy. She handles inputting in the payroll information, but she sends it back out to Munis. They cut the checks. So this particular company doesn't handle human resources, the human side of this resources issue.
I mean the data entry part, is that what you're saying?
The data entry,
Yep.
and as far as processing the benefits specifically, all they handled were the payroll processes and the tax filings and the wage garnishments. And that's what she said they do for these towns. And we really didn't need that service at this time. I explained this position to the personnel board back, I think it was maybe in February. I understand, I brought it to the Board of Selectmen's attention back in March when we talked about not only this position, but the EMS, the dispatcher's positions, and I really got no clear direction from the board. I took my direction from town meeting. I understood clearly where 20% of the board fell on this one. But the board never brought it up in a public session again. And as far as that particular person who was chosen for the position, she did the work. Does she have an employee who works for the town? Yes. Do we have other employees who have family members who work for the town? Yes. I can think of a foreman in one department who had a son working for him, and actually in two departments that come to the top of my head. I can tell you it's nothing related to a family member. This particular person, she worked and she covered not only the Board of Selectmen's office, but also the Human Resources office while someone was out on Family Medical Leave Act for 4 months. To me, she demonstrated her worth here. We went through the process. I believe we got 10 applications. Some were qualified, some were not qualified at all. One person went so far as saying, I want to get my 3 years in here for the town and be done. I want to collect my retirement. So I saw a person here who's not only a resident of Walpole, graduated from Walpole High School, but also worked for the town in, this will be her third department. She started with the zoning board, went to the Board of Selectmen, and now on to HR. She's really risen up the ranks a little bit, and I think I take exception to the fact that things were done behind closed doors. I try to be as open as possible here. I had Marilyn and Patrick do the screening committee on this. They recommended 3 candidates to me. One of the candidates dropped out. I interviewed 2 of them, and if you want to be involved in the process, I'm more than willing to have members of the board. Just let me know if you want to be involved in the interviews. I'm willing. Always have. I've always been willing to take members of the board on a screening committee. So, thank you.
well.
Thank you. I just like, and
Sure.
ADP is but one company, and they do, well, and I know you talked to Devin, and perhaps ADP did not do the HR benefits administration for those particular towns that she listed here, but they do benefits administration, and my understanding of benefits administration is exactly what the job description was. That being said, again, ADP is but one company. We did not even explore other companies. I took my time, I made a personal effort to identify some companies that do this. I just happened, because ADP seemed to be a brand name, that I reached out particular to ADP. But, you know, to say that these private companies don't do HR benefits administration, when I'm looking right here, it says benefits administration in the cost. But again, notwithstanding the fact, ADP, as I qualified the statement, it's but one company, and this was an opportunity to outsource a position for which we would not have to have the long-term liability of retirement and post-employment benefits of health insurance, which is crushing every municipality. And I think this was an opportunity to rein in the cost without, in fact, without reducing, terminating any employees, or, you know, telling someone that they can't work here any longer. Because it was a newly created position, it was the perfect opportunity. And I said my piece. Thank you.
Make a motion to close?
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody watching at home.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
What are my water chances?
Set their back on. I told them before they go home,
You're gonna have
they
to flush
just
it.
check that